morning, Margaret. Glad to be here.
Good. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I know some of you have attended all 3 of our sessions, and some of you are new. Welcome. You could come to, we're doing, well, first of all, I'm Margaret Burrow. I'm the president and CEO of Batavia Chamber. So good to see you so bright and early on this sunny, sunshiny, springy day. Hey, spring is coming. It's supposed to be 70 tomorrow, so, you know, yeah, shorts. Shorts and tank tops tomorrow. The quarry's open. So this is our 3rd on social media. Jamie, Sam, and Lisa Kofu from Start Something Studios have generously donated their time and expertise for our chamber membership. We are so grateful because I know there are some educational webinars or seminars out there that are just, you know, superficial 101. Jamie, really, you have brought us to 201 and 301. So we are experts in the social media field. So thank you so much for your time and energy, knowledge, and support of the chamber. So I am going to turn it over to you now, Jamie. If you have any questions, they could ask you as you go.
Oh, yeah.
You'll
Totally.
review that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming. I know most of you have been at most of the seminars so far, and there's more coming up in the future. The Chamber's doing a whole series the entire year, so it's kind of exciting. I talked to somebody who couldn't come back today because she was getting sick, but she's like, this has been so valuable and I'm going to keep coming. I think AI is next and then HR, so I think Margaret and the ladies have done a good job finding some experts to speak to you and kind of dig into those topics. So today we're talking about boundaries, batching, and balance, just to kind of wrap everything together. The first one we talked about Canva, gave you some tips and tricks to make that a little bit easier for you than last week, it was a couple weeks ago. We talked about analytics and using that back end of your website and your social media to help guide your posting and really dig into what your customers are looking for. If you didn't see those, you can find those on PATV. So this time, we're just kind of tying it all together to make sure that social media doesn't overwhelm you. How to kind of get out of that mindset that it's the worst thing in the world and that you always have to be coming up with new and interesting things, and innovating, and always on, because not all of that is true. So, oh, I disappeared. I wonder what happened to me. Oh, what happened? What's going on? Oh, you know what? I think maybe I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi. Give me 1 second. Everybody pause for suspense.
Take a peaceful moment.
Yeah, everybody take a deep breath. This is a relaxing morning. There we go. Okay, now let's see if that works. There we go, look at that. Okay, I'm not gonna do a big background because like I said, most of you guys have been here, but I'm Jamie Sam with Start Something Studio. I'm also the owner of Bulldog Plumbing. Been a small business owner since 2011. My husband and I have worked our butts off in that business from not knowing really what we were doing at all to feeling pretty successful 15 years later. And you know, hitting milestones in our business and getting to points where you know, down the road we're going to be looking at selling, right? So we've really grown that business and created something that we never thought we could. And when I share, I'm sharing from that place too, is just a place of actual experience in doing this. Prior to that, I was the executive director of Batavia Main Street, so for you nonprofit people, I have experience in that realm, working with over 200 small businesses in our downtown area. Also past alderman, city council member, what else? I don't know, everything's listed on there. Chamber board, yes. I actually, as of yesterday, so in 2026 to 2027, I will be the lieutenant governor of our division for Kiwanis, which is Batavia, Geneva. Thank you. Thanks. Batavia, Geneva Club, 2 in St. Charles, 2 in Elgin, and possibly bringing on, I think, the Sycamore and DeKalb Club, but not sure. So yeah, so that's new because I needed more things on my plate, but they tell me it's not a heavy lift. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So this is our team at Start Something. Just a quick background on what Start Something is. So we're small business consultants basically at the very base level. We do a lot of services for businesses and nonprofits. Social media management, website design, training for all of those bits and pieces that you might need as well. And then we also have memberships. So our memberships are for business owners to have a spot at a table. Most of the businesses we work with are solopreneurs. So you're doing it on your own, and you don't always want to just bring it home to your partner or to your best friends when you're having margarita night. They don't want to always hear about your business, but we do. We're your business friends. We kind of become part of your team. So we have different membership levels where the businesses can then be part of that community. And they don't just get Lisa and I, they also get, we've got right now 35 businesses in our membership, so they get community with them too. We host a lot of events where they all come together and get to collaborate. So it's been very, very cool. We do have Ellen, Heather, and Becky also that work with us for different things, whether it's social media management, some of our website design and things like that. So you might see them as well. Really how it started was to bring in for like good, sustainable information to small businesses, right? So exactly what we're doing here with in partnership with the Chamber, this is why we did it. We were seeing a lot of misinformation out there. We literally just had one of our members email us 2 days ago, and this is part of like what you get as a membership. She sends us one of those emails that we all get that sounds like a scam, and is it a scam? Are they selling me something? They want me on a podcast, or they said I can come to this event. But it doesn't say a fee, so sometimes they'll shoot us those things to work through that, look into it a little bit, because they're nervous that if they say yes to something, are they gonna all of a sudden pay out $900 a month to somebody they've never met, never gonna see, never get anything from, right? So that's kind of how we started this. Lisa was doing web design, I was doing business consulting. We were referring people to each other, but we decided to come together and join to start something studio. And then when we decided to do that, now we could be meeting in coffee shops or anything like that, but we really felt the need to have a space where the business owners and nonprofit owners or directors could come and share space together and be together. So that's why we're on the east side over by Cinco de Mayo Market. And it is a space where people can co-work, our members can host their workshops and things like that. So we just really wanted to create a collaborative business space and model. And we do a lot of partnerships with the chambers, the SBDC, all of those awesome business resources. So we're just another business resource. All right, let's get rolling. So, like I said, the goal today is just to kind of talk through how to get out of your head that social media is not fun and it's overwhelming and it's hard and you're frustrated by it, right? So really quick, because we have a nice group here, mixed businesses, let's go through and have everybody introduce themselves so we all know where we're coming from. Again, I know a lot of you have been here already, but there's a couple new faces. Why don't we start in the back?
Hi, I'm Rosa from Prairie Path Cycles. Lisa from Tri-City Health Partnership. Patty from the Batavia Chamber. Margaret from the Batavia Chamber.
Terry McCullough from Coastal Sands Travel.
Sherry from Murphy Dentistry.
Annalise also with Murphy Dentistry.
Gianna with Water Street Studios.
Erin of Water Street Studio.
Sonia Johnson with Batavia Rotary. Terry Geis with Batavia Rotary.
Susan Cruz with Garage City 1.
Chad Rock, Schoolie Mitchell, Geneva.
I'm Jen Kerwellens with Just Be Pampered, and I feel like you wrote that about me.
Oh, see, these ones right here?
Yeah, were you like,
Oh, okay.
I think I know.
Oh, then you're gonna probably win the prize.
I'm writing this down.
Okay, good, good, I love
Kevin
it.
Homer from Certapro Painters.
All right, see, and that's exactly why we wanted to talk about this. Again, I know we were doing like the tangible tips. You guys needed those things to look and go, how do I do these tips and tricks on Canva? But there's a lot in our mental head when it comes to social that we just need to figure out how to navigate through, right? So these up here, right? So show of hands, who checks business notifications at night? Now this is if you're a nonprofit too, you get those messages. I see the back row is winning that one. And don't feel guilty about this, because do you see everybody's hands going up? Who is posted from bed? You're laying in bed, oh, I gotta post something. We all do that. I mean, I could raise my hand at all these. Who feels guilty when you haven't posted in a while? Yeah. So, yeah, see, it gets into your head and it's tricky and it's overwhelming. So then what happens? When you feel guilty you haven't posted in a while, do you post right away? Exactly, you don't do it, right? So we're gonna do a little quiz. I think everybody has paper in front of them. I didn't print extra papers for this. I have takeaways later. But we're gonna do a little quiz. I have a little prize. So, now you're gonna score yourself, the scoring here, okay? So when we go over those questions, 1 is never, 5 is always, right? And then somewhere in the middle. So for each question, give yourself a point, and then we'll tally them at the end. And then I'll have a prize for the winner-ish. All right, so I check my business notifications outside of work hours. Now everybody's work hours do vary. So it's whatever you set for yourself, but let's pretend it's a 9 to 5, 8 to 4 type job. Do you check your business notifications, and how frequently do you check those outside of work hours? Give yourself a 1 through 5. I feel anxious if I haven't posted in a few days. Now you don't have to be like stressing out, but you feel a little bit stressed out. I respond to DMs or comments immediately, even at night. DMs are direct messages in your profiles. DM is with Instagram specifically, but Messenger in Facebook or LinkedIn. You get all those LinkedIn notifications in your email. I don't know why I haven't unsubscribed to those, but those come like crazy. Really need to just stop getting those notifications. So if you're checking those as soon as they come in, right? I create posts last minute instead of batching. So we'll talk about what batching is. What batching is doing a lot at one time as opposed to just randomly posting your posts, right? I compare my posting frequency to competitors. So are you constantly checking people in the same realm of business and going, oh, they post every day, twice a day. I should be posting every day, twice a day. Again, posted from bed. I know which ones should be answering, giving themselves a 5 on that one, right? Ladies in the back, Margaret. I rewrite captions multiple times before posting, right? So this is gonna be where I'm talking about, you know, getting it done sometimes is better than perfect. So how many times are you rewriting it? Oh, that's not good enough. Going back to the drawing board, starting again. And then what happens? Sometimes we just don't post it because we're still not happy. It's not perfect, right? I feel guilty taking a break from social media. Something that we shouldn't feel guilty about because sometimes you just need a technology break, but a lot of us do because it's another part of our business and our organization and our job, right? I don't have defined response hours. So that kind of goes back to what I was talking about with that 8 to 4, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That I actually don't even have that in my notes, but we could talk about scheduling things, which is that messages, emails. And then finally, I use more platforms than I realistically have time for. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Nextdoor, YouTube, blah, 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 right? All of the above. All right, so now let's score. So give yourself, I trust you all, give yourself your scores. Count them up. You should have at the lowest a 10, at the highest 50. Okay, I'll give you a minute to do that. Okay. So if you got a 10 through 18, I'm going to actually have you guys all stand. Stand up. Everybody stand, actually. Sorry. Sorry, everybody stand. And then if you get the, if I call your number out, sit down. Okay? So did you get a 10 through 18? You can have a seat. That means none of you are calm or strategic. Okay, that's okay. That's all right. I don't even think I got a 10 through 18. It's perfectly fine. How about a 19 through 30? Okay, there we go. We're losing some people because I don't know about a tiebreaker. Okay, so that means you guys are managing, you're flirting with burnout, but you're doing all right, right? You don't do all of those things all of the time. Okay, 31 through 40, have a seat. Oh, see, I knew you were going to win too. So the rest of you, you're living in reactive mode, which means you're kind of just doing it when you have to, right? So then you win the big prize.
Oh, God.
I
I didn't want to win that way.
know. No, you did actually. You did, because here's what it is, and I was explaining it earlier, so this is yours. And what they are is they're timer cubes, and I use them all the time. You turn them on, they've got different times on the sides. Now, they're just like a kitchen timer. But what's cool is they trick your brain, and you can adjust them right there, right? I can go, I have an hour to work on scheduling my social media, designing it, doing all that. And once that's done, I'm moving on to a different task, right? And they're as low as 1 minute, 3 minutes. I use them for email responding. I use them, they're just from Amazon. But I have them in my kitchen. I don't bring them into the studio with me for some reason, but at home when I'm working for my kitchen, I always have those next to me because it puts me in that mindset of, okay, I'm giving myself this amount of time, because then it makes those tasks more manageable. I think sometimes tasks take us longer just because we have the time and we're unscheduled, right? So something that should take 30 minutes ends up taking 3 hours because you got up, you got distracted, you heard a bing on your phone, so you went over there. When I set that for the 30 minutes to say I'm going to schedule the 4 posts for the week or whatever, I literally, if my phone bangs, I'm like, ignore that. I gotta just focus on the social. I'm not touching any other page or platform. It takes a lot to get there, but you can get there. And now you have cubes to do it, so congratulations. See, sometimes it's good to have all of those points. All right, so let's go, move on. Okay, one of the biggest myths, marketing myths, is that if I'm not constantly posting, I'll be forgotten, right? And I think we all feel that way. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to post. All I'm saying is it doesn't have to be constant, right? People aren't gonna forget about you because you're still out there doing other things, right? But you do need to post consistently. You need to show up consistently in the market, right? So people don't need constant. They don't need 5 times a day. They don't need every time they hop on a social media platform that you are the first one popping up, and then you're popping up again later with a different post, and you're popping up again later with another post. They just need to see that you are on there, that they can find you, that you've been active somewhat recently. And consistency is the best. So if you can come up with a regular schedule for your posting, whatever fits into your lifestyle and business style, that's what you want, what you will actually do. Because you're not a machine. You're not a content machine. You can't come up with 5 different posts a day. I don't know who these people are that are doing that. It's crazy. You do see that sometimes. But then you know that that's what they're spending all of their time doing, right? You don't have time for that. You have a million other pieces of your business or your organization to take care of. So because we don't all want to always be on, right? Here, it does so much to you to always be on. As small business owners and nonprofit leaders, you're being pulled in a million directions, right? So not setting those boundaries of certain work hours and times, that's what kills us all, right? And we all love it, and we want to do the best that we can, and we want people to think that we are going above and beyond all the time. And you are, even if you're only doing that 8 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. You're not doing it Saturday at 9 p.m. unless you have a fundraiser that weekend, and then you're working all day, right? We know that, we get that. Or if you're a retail store and you're open on Sunday mornings. So there's flexibility in those hours, but you have to do that based on what your business demands. So being always on drains our creativity, right? It pulls all of that out of us because we are focusing on a million different things. It leads us to reactive posting, so that we're not really thinking about and creating content that's valuable, that's actually gonna turn into a sale, a donation, a new volunteer, a new customer, right? It creates inconsistencies. Our posts are all over the place. We're not creating posts that look like our brand. We learned about that, right? Taking our brand colors, picking our logos, making sure those are in our posts. If you're just posting on the fly all the time, not saying not to post on the fly sometimes, but if all you're ever doing, you're not sitting there and adding your brand colors and your logo and the right type of voice to your post. You're just posting whatever you have, right? So then if somebody's scrolling through their feed, they don't know that it's you and your business or your organization. It builds resentment toward marketing, right? Social media has become a key part in marketing for businesses and nonprofits now. And when we are always on, we hate that the most, right? And you want to get to a point where it's not a burden. It still will be a little bit of a burden. I don't know too many people who love it. I had one business owner 2 weeks ago come in, and she was like, I want to figure out how to get this off my plate and this off my plate, but I love doing the social media posting. And I was like, you are a unicorn. Because nobody ever comes in and says that, right? So that was really an anomaly, which is awesome. I was like, keep that then, right? Good for you. So being always on is exhausting. It really is going to get you to the point where you're posting, you're frustrated, you're always on. You're going to stop posting, then you're going to post a bunch because you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't post for a while, so post. And then you're going to disappear again in your business. And tell me if this hasn't happened to most of you. I'm sure some of you it hasn't happened, right? But that happens. We have to remember that social media is not customer service. I think this is really important, right? This is about always being on and always responding to the messages, right? We do have to have that time where people can contact us on social media, and they will. At Bulldog Plumbing, I feel like people have found every possible way to get in touch with us, and all we really want them to do is pick up the phone and call the phone number. Don't people just call and make appointments anymore? No, they don't. So you do have to adapt with the way that people want to interact with your business. So whether you have something on your website where people can book an appointment with you, whether you have that on your social media messaging where it pops up, but it's automating responses so that you don't always have to be the one responding, right? In your scheduled automated response, which you can do on all of those platforms, you can schedule a response so that you don't have to see a message and right away get them an answer. One of the biggest tricks is most of our phones, if you do get notifications, it won't show that you read it until you click on it. Just don't click on it until you're ready to respond. That seriously is like my best solution there, is just let it sit there until you have the time to do it, because they will see that you saw it, and then you're gonna feel guilty. So take that out of that for yourself and either set the automated response, or if you don't wanna set automated responses, pull that out for yourself. So, it's because we don't want to be a 24-hour response desk for it. The chamber's a good example, right? You guys got that phone number, but you're not responding at certain times and days, correct?
We have an automatic response if you text a chamber that says
Yeah.
what our hours are.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, so setting expectations is key. Having those hours in there is really important. Again, I think DMs on Facebook and Instagram, it's a really good place. You can always still jump in there as a person and respond, but to have that automated set up, because people are gonna reach out to you and they're gonna ask you questions, and then they're gonna, some of them will then 5 minutes later message you again because you haven't responded, but that's on them, that's not on you. Remember that, right? And if they end up going somewhere else, they end up going somewhere else, then it's not your customer. Because think about if they're that quick to respond on Facebook Messenger, do you really want them to be your customer in your store, getting your service, contacting you all the time? They'll be that really needy customer. So sometimes you don't even want that one, right? It gives you a good example of what you don't want. So social media is a tool. It's a very important marketing tool for us, right? We all need it. If you don't have it, which I'm sure you all do, everybody's raising their hands about all the bad things we do on social media. But it is a key, important tool. And it is one that is still relatively free, right? Other than that it takes our time. So it's not free for our time, but it is free for our funds. You can invest in different ways in it, but it still is a relatively free tool. And when you're consistent, I think when you consistently show up, the algorithms like that as well. So being consistent with that as opposed to ghosting it for months on end because you got frustrated and burned out is valuable for your business and organization too. That one didn't show up in my picture. No, it's all right, whatever. I'm sure it was cute. I'm sure it was a funny little photo, whatever. I don't know what it was. So our boundaries. Healthy boundaries look like setting a response window, which we've talked about, right? So that's you spending some time digging in and seeing what you think your actual ability is to respond, right? Set that and then let people know that. The reason no posting for bed, it's a silly one and we are all gonna still do it, but because that is your time, that's your personal time, right? And if you don't wanna burn out, you have to keep something sacred. You have to keep, especially being small business owners who maybe you have a space, maybe you don't, maybe you work from home, right? You still need those spaces within your home, within your life, your personal life, your partners, your kids, whoever, all your dogs will appreciate the fact that you're in your bed laying there petting them instead of sitting on your phone posting for your business, right? So set those times for yourself. No weekend obligation. Again, I understand nonprofits have a lot on the weekends. Some retail businesses have a lot on the weekends. Some 24/7 businesses have a lot on the weekends. And sometimes, again, this gets into the scheduling, you can schedule things for the weekend posting on a Monday and schedule it for the weekends, but don't be doing the actual posting in your business on the weekends. Give yourself that time off. You know, there's a reason why we now have mandatory vacation pay for our employees, right? It's something that all businesses should have been doing from the beginning, is because people need breaks. They need time off. They need time to not be thinking about their business. So nobody should be upset with you if you aren't going to respond to them on the weekend. Nobody should be upset with you at all. And for Bulldog Plumbing, we, from the beginning, because it's my husband and I, now we have a bunch of guys that work for us, but from the beginning we said, we're not 24/7, we don't work weekends. Now that doesn't mean that if somebody's sweet grandma calls and she's crying and she's got a flood in her basement, he won't go out because he mistakenly answered the phone. He will do that sometimes. But nowhere on our website, nowhere on our social media do we say 24/7, because we wanted to know that our family time was protected And we wanted to make sure that the people that we employed felt that same thing, right? So that's really important for us. And every once in a while, we put that out on our social media. We have referral, other plumbers that we refer if somebody does call on a Saturday, or somebody texts me, or somebody messages me, or finds some way to access us. We always have other partners that we will send them to. But that is a firm boundary we created for us and our business and for our guys, because we wanted to make sure that they got to go to scout campouts with their kids and things like that. That was really important to us. So that should be important to you, for you and your business and your organization. Those are just things we have to hold sacred. And then having those internal expectations for yourself, right? And allowing yourself to know that those are important things for you. It's not laziness, it's you taking care of yourself, right? So 3 boundaries that every business needs. Again, the notification boundary, when do you check? So these are things that, in your time, as you're kind of thinking about your posting schedule in the future, these are things to really sit down and talk to yourself about and set for yourself. So your notification boundary, when do you check your notifications? When are you responding to them? Your posting boundaries, when do you create, right? How frequently you're gonna create, how frequently you're gonna post. And then your platform boundary, and we'll talk about that. So that's where you do not show up, right? So when I asked that question earlier, how many, what is the question exactly? It was, I use more platforms than I realistically have time for, right? Because we all think we need to be on all of these platforms. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, right? Because we all should be on all of those, because we have octopus arms and can post on all of those all the time. It's just not possible. Now, there are tools that allow you to post the same content on all of those platforms, right? There's scheduling apps like Publer that allow you to schedule all of those out, right? And that's great, but do you really want duplicate content that isn't landing on those platforms? Maybe, maybe not. Is this where your people are, right? So let's look at how you choose where you want to show up. So these are the things that you need to ask yourself. Where are my customers actually active, right? So we know that Facebook tends to be, majority of the people in this room, there's a couple that are younger that probably are more Instagram, right? Maybe YouTube, maybe TikTok. But Facebook tends to be, let's say, 40-ish and up. But in our minds as business owners, we're trying to be hip and we think, oh no, we don't need to be on Facebook. Facebook is fading away. Facebook is not fading away. Facebook is still for 40-ish and up individuals. That's where those people go. It also is a place where you can create groups. It is also a place where you can engage in groups for your business. There's a lot more community building in Facebook than there is in Instagram. Now, that's not to say that your business shouldn't be on Instagram. If your business is more visual, is a little bit at a younger target audience, then maybe Instagram is where you need to think. Let's go back to the list of them. LinkedIn, are you more business to business? If you're trying to get sponsors for a nonprofit, LinkedIn might be the place to do that, to make sure that you're showing your events and showing the work that you do in this nonprofit to try to attract other business people, right? Or if you're hiring, things like that. TikTok, that's definitely more a younger audience. It's also a little bit more for education, right? You can teach people a lot, showing your expertise more in a fun way if you want to try to actually get people to watch. YouTube's going to be, again, if you do a lot more video, if you want to share a lot more of your expertise in education, if you want to educate your audience, if you want to visually, let's say like travel, right? YouTube might be a good one if you get videos, longer form videos from all of your trips and things like that to show places. And then Threads is kind of a combo of Facebook and Instagram. It's kind of Twittery. But there's a little bit more community there. People seem to be engaging more on posts. I do feel like it's more person to person, but businesses do engage on Threads as well. So what you have to do is spend some time looking at those and going, this is what my ideal customer, and that's a conversation for another day, because a lot of us, if I said, who's your ideal customer, most people just go, everyone's my customer, everyone's my volunteer, everyone's my donor. And that is so far from the truth. You should be targeting so nichely, so narrowly, that you nail that audience, and those people are gonna see that, wow, they really hit this audience they're gonna come to you anyway. And I think we talked about that a little bit, maybe when we're talking about branding and how, with Start Something, we 100%, all of our marketing is toward women. I don't think we've ever had a man in a post of ours. That doesn't mean that we don't work with men. It just means we know our target audience, and we still have multiple businesses that are owned by men that work with us and come to us. We have men that come to our networking, even though every picture is 12 women around like laughing in a pink room. Men still show up to our networking. So just because we're targeting this very niche person doesn't mean other people aren't gonna come. So remember that. So ask yourself where your customers are active. Then you have to ask yourself what format feels natural to you. That means, which one are you actually gonna utilize? What one do you like the best? Because if it's something that you fumble around every single time you use it, you're not gonna use it. You're gonna dread it. Again, it's all about taking any of the difficulties out for you, taking any of the things that can get in your way, the blocks, get them out of your way. So pick the platform that you will utilize, right? And what platform, that kind of go hand in hand, which one supports your energy, right? So which one do you find ease in working in? Which one can you be consistent with? Let's talk about batching now. Okay, so batching, and I've mentioned it a couple times, and this is what I mentioned with the cubes. That's a good thing. Again, my picture didn't pop up. I don't know what I put in there. That's not working. Just bad internet. It's because it's raining outside today. We'll blame it on the rain. So batching equals creating content in focused blocks, right? So this is, again, eliminating that, just posting randomly, and sitting down and spending time to actually post, brainstorm, create, and then post all at once, right? So it's a game changer. Instead of scrambling to figure out what you're gonna post, you create content in blocks. We kind of know what time blocking is. It's very similar. And the thing about it is your brain likes that. Once it's connected, you set that timer for the 60 minutes or the 40 minutes or however long you need. Your brain likes being focused on something for an amount of time, as opposed to focused on this, focused on that, focused on this, all at once. We're not actually supposed to multitask. I think women especially pat themselves on the back for being multitaskers, but that means we're not giving 100% to any one thing, right? We can do it. We totally can, and if we didn't, the world would fall apart. Which is maybe why it's falling apart now. I don't know. We don't have any women multitasking at the top. But you see that it just doesn't work out, so you need to narrow in that focus, right? Your brain doesn't like to constantly switch and think about other things. So by batching, instead of scrambling, you're getting that calmness. You're getting a schedule. I kind of mentioned all of these things, right? So the biggest thing to me is that batching builds that momentum. You've got that time blocked out, and that's what you're focused on. That's what you're gonna look at, right? And it actually saves time, because now you're locking out that time to focus on something, as opposed to randomly posting here and there. And when you take all of those things together and you add it up, that's probably gonna be more time than it took you to create 5 posts when you sat down for 40 minutes, right? So you don't wanna waste your time doing that. So my suggestion here is the 90-minute content power block, okay? So I'll talk about a little bit an example of somebody that I worked with just recently, who basically she would open Instagram, stare at her phone, go through her pictures, look at what she was gonna post, get frustrated again, write content, and then delete it, write it again and delete it, and what would happen? She'd never post. Or she'd just throw something on there again that didn't fit her brand, didn't work, looked messy, wasn't planned. And then if she posted, or if she didn't post, she wouldn't post for a while again, right? So instead we tried to do a little bit of this batching, setting a time, a day and a time that, whether it's once a month or once a week, depending on how much you want to get done. Setting, 90 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is. She did 90-minute time block to knock out all of those posts that she was going to get scheduled. I think she was doing 2 or 3 a week. That's what she was planning on scheduling. So she was able to get all of that done, right? So open Canva, looked at, now things to think about when you're looking at what you're going to post. Take a look at your business reviews. See what people are saying in your reviews, right? You're looking for questions that people ask. a lot about your business because you want to answer those questions on social media. In your reviews, you'll see things like with Bulldog Plumbing, we always get the guy's names called out, right? So what we see that matters to people is the actual employees that work for us, right? So when they're like, we had Norm over, he was amazing. So I know I need to feature our plumbers more because people are calling them out. It was cleaner when they left than when they arrived. They wore booties, they da-da-da-da, right? Cleanliness is really important to them when a tradesman comes to their house. Timeliness, they were prompt, da-da-da-da, affordability, things like that, right? So those are what you get called out in your reviews for your business. So I always recommend, not just for social media posting, but for anything when you're trying to gauge things in your business, go back and look at all your reviews, see what people are calling out. It tells you a lot about what's important to your customer. So look at that for ideas for posting. Look at what people are asking you. What are people calling about? What are people asking on social media questions about? We did a post last week, or maybe the beginning of this week, for Bulldog Plumbing because we started getting a ton of phone calls about PFAS in water because Elburn's water quality reports came back a little scary. So we were like, oh, we should probably let people know about RO systems and how much PFAS it actually takes out, and a more educational post, but that we can work with you to remediate the drinking water issue in your home because we were getting a lot of calls on that. So we listened to what people were calling about, what people were asking, and then directed our post for that, right? So when that customer was looking at all of that, open Canva and started to create those simple posts in there. Go off of those. So you're gonna start with your plan, right? So you're spending that time digging into what your customers are asking you, digging into what they're saying in your reviews. What do you need to get out there on social media? What are the services you provide? All of those things. So spend that time to plan those. Then you're gonna have that laid out. You'll have all those different topics and then you have time to create, right? Canva is a super easy tool. We talked about that a couple months ago, January. So using Canva, you can do, like Lisa showed, duplicate those posts, create a template and kind of repurpose that. It makes it where it's a lot easier. So if every Tuesday you schedule an education post with the same template, but it's a different theme each week, you can knock all of those out in one session where you sit down and focus on that, right? Then you're going to, after you create your images, I always think creating your images is easiest because you're gonna mess around with it, move things around, it's gonna take a little bit longer, but easier to do that first than create your caption because you've got kind of what you're talking about, then you create the visual image, and then you're going to write your little caption. Now captions don't have to be 5 paragraphs long. Most people won't read it. So keep it simple. You don't need to put too much information into what you're putting out on social media, right? Yes, a lot of our businesses need to educate, but you can keep that very simple. And then you're scheduling, right? So as I mentioned, I said Publer, there's a lot of other scheduling apps. Some are free, some are paid. The nice thing about something like Publer is it's an app you can log into, you can connect all your platforms to, and then you can schedule all of those. A lot of us use Meta Business Suite. I know we worked on the behind the scenes on that, the last one. Also, a good way to schedule. It's a little bit clunky. There's things on all of them that are a little clunky, but with Meta, you can only schedule on Instagram and Facebook. But those are probably the 2 main platforms everybody uses, so they are very simple to use. The trickiest part there is it's a little hard if you like to do Reels. To schedule on Meta Scheduler because sometimes sound doesn't transfer. So if you spend all this time picking a great trending sound and then you post it and you're like, I'm clicking the volume button and nothing's happening, it's because Meta is just not our friend. Mostly is what that's about. So 90 minutes might sound like a lot, but if you're knocking out all of your content, depending on how much you can get in, all of it for that week, for 2 weeks, or for the month, it is very possible. This is how I do it, and I do multiple businesses' social media, and I try to knock it all out. Tuesday morning is my day to time block for social media for the businesses that we do social media management for, and usually I give myself about an hour, and that's for 1 to 2 weeks of their social media, right? But I spend that time planning before. I have a lot of templates. Now, sometimes it takes longer because all of a sudden I'll get inspired and creative. And then I'm like, why did I do that? Because you need to put those in there sometimes too. You have to have fun with it too. And sometimes it becomes fun when you're actually, you're scheduling it out and now you're gonna have this time to be creative and design. Sometimes it does become fun. It becomes less of a job. So some other things to kind of save your brain time when you're planning in that plan time is coming up with content themes, right? This is a great way to trim that time down, trim that, oh, I don't know what to post time down, right? So some examples are education. Now I put weeks in here, but they could be days, right? Like I said, it could be a Tuesday, and Tuesday's your education post. And Thursdays are your behind the scenes post. And then the second week, you do a client or staff spotlight. And then the third week, or the next Thursday, you do offer or service, right? So you do whatever works for your business. These are things for you to sit down to and kind of plot and plan what those themes would be. This is stuff that you can come up with, again, when you're looking at your reviews, questions, things that your customers are looking for. You know, do you want to have, every week, or let's just pretend we're all just going to do 2 posts a week because that is doable, right? So it wouldn't, none of this would be an every week thing. It would be the first Tuesday of the month is your education post. The second Tuesday of the month is your service post. The third Tuesday of the month is a review testimonial post. The fourth Tuesday of the month is a staff spotlight. And then what are you going to do on the Thursdays? So if you set a content theme schedule, that's going to eliminate half the battle of posting, right? That doesn't mean that you still don't have to design fun things and come up with the verbiage for your posts. You do, but it will streamline that for you so much more because you'll already know what you're posting. Don't hold yourself to these things. If you veer off, you veer off. It's okay. If you are a nonprofit and it's an event week, and it's Friday, and normally on Fridays you do a volunteer spotlight. Well, Saturday is your gala, and you want to do a live setup post, then do that instead. That's okay. Nobody is holding you to whatever themes and whatever schedule you set other than yourself. So allow yourself that flexibility too, but it gets rid of that thought of the what do I post today, right? It eliminates that because you've already set that, you've already scheduled that. I mentioned this earlier, but that done is better than perfect. Just keeping things in mind. We don't need to keep going back to the drawing board and rewriting. No design we create is ever going to be perfect. Most of us in here are not designers. Most of us in here are not copywriters. So it's coming from a real human. It's not coming from a copywriter or a designer or AI, right? We need to be putting in our own words, and we're putting in our own time and energy. And most of us, if we're business owners, we started that business because our strength is whatever our business is, right? You do parties. Your strength wasn't social media. That's not why you started your business. So now you have to do that, right? That's just a piece of it. So you're not going to have the perfect post every single time. So ask yourself, is it clear? Is it helpful, and is it visible? And does it sound like us, your business, your organization? Again, back to that branding piece. If it does, then post it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Things might be a little bit misaligned. Sometimes you're hitting that over button on Canva to get it all lined up just perfectly, and the numbers, like where it says like 11 and 12, and you're trying to measure it and it just won't get there, right? It's okay. It's all right. If somebody comments on your post and says it's misaligned, something is wrong with them. And let them go have a bad day. That is okay. Because you're going to have a better day because you got that post up, right? Okay, building a rhythm. So again, we talked about this. You don't need to post 7 days a week. You don't need to post 1 million times a day. You need to find what works for you, right? Most businesses that 2 or 3 times a week, which is what I mentioned. And that's what most businesses who hire us to manage their social want as well. So I'm not just saying that as like throwing a number out there to make you feel better that you only have to post 2 times a week. Almost every single business that comes to us is like, I just want to post a couple times a week. You know, I can't even do that. I don't have the time to do that. I don't have the creativity to do that. So again, that's creating that consistency. That's so that if somebody is on Facebook and they're in the More Than Moms group, okay, and they ask, I need a plumber, who's the good plumber? And everybody comments and comments and comments, and they click on the ones, right? They click on Bulldog Plumbing. They're gonna have seen that there was a post recently. They're gonna know that we're still alive, we're still a business that's open, we're still doing things. They can scroll quick and kind of see different things we do. But then they might click on, we'll say Batavia Plumbing, who's no longer in business. they're gonna see that Batavia Plumbing hasn't posted since 2023, right? Even though somebody recommended them because that's who they used before. You wanna have it where if they click on it, they see that you've been active recently. So that's where that consistency comes. That's eliminating that, I don't know what to post, I'm gonna ghost it for 6 months and never post again because I'm so frustrated with social media. So getting that 2 times a week consistency is important for you and for your social. Another thing about, our accessibility and our boundaries is that you can go on vacation and you cannot check your social, you cannot check stuff. That's a lot of that batching and pre-scheduling things, right? So, as I mentioned here, pre-scheduling, but another good one, especially if you're a small business or if you just want to make sure. People do understand it's about setting expectations, right? That's the direct message. That's like the chamber with their text number, right? It says these are our hours, we'll get back to you within those hours, right? You put up graphics on your social media, on your website, send out an email to your clients that says, sorry, our business is on vacation from this date to this date. I think about Gaetano's when they were open, they used to do that. They do, I think it was like the second week in January or something like that. They would just close the whole restaurant. Everybody would get a vacation. They put signs up outside, they put it on their social, they put it on their website. Sure, you might have really wanted a good dinner and now they're closed that week and that's a bummer, but you're gonna go back the next week when they're open, right? But you appreciate that you didn't just show up at the door or call and nobody called you back because they've put it all over the place, right? So you're allowed to do that for yourself and your organization, especially if you're really small and it's just you or you have a small team or your whole team takes off. Make sure you're putting that information out there. Set auto replies, which we've talked about a lot. I think everybody should do that anyway, whether you're on vacation or not. That's again just setting those expectations. And then pausing your content intentionally. That's if you don't want to do scheduling, but really I would recommend just schedule a couple when you're going out of town. It feels so good. Almost every time that I know we're going to be out of town, I'll sit down, I'll block that time, and I'll just get them all scheduled. And it feels so good to know that they're just posting without you. I'm like, no, everybody still thinks we're alive. It's cool. That's great. Let's see. So rest is kind of our theme for this year, just really focusing on doing, I don't want to say doing less because that sounds bad, but it's not, it's really doing more for ourselves and our wellness as business owners and as organization leaders, instead of overloading ourselves and again, feeling like we always have to be on. So all of this that I talked about is really focused on resting, which is the boundary aspect, right? Giving yourself those boundaries so you're only on when you are allowing yourself to be on. Creating those systems, which is batching, and I know it seems like a lot, but really once you get rolling on it, and that's just, you do it for other things, right? You have the time that you have your team meeting every week or every month, your meeting's at the same time, right? You have the time that you have to do your financials or you meet with your accountant, right? So why are those things priorities that you'll give a certain scheduled time to, but social media and marketing isn't? Marketing for some reason always falls to the bottom, but it's just as important as those other things, right? For us to grow and make sure people know how to interact with our business and buy from our business. And then efficiency, fewer platforms. Like you have permission to not post on a platform that doesn't get you customers. You really do. If LinkedIn doesn't do it for you, if you are, let's see, I don't know who, Garage 31. I don't know that LinkedIn is your platform. I feel like it would not be. I think Facebook, because it's probably most of the age of people who are bringing their cars in. Instagram, you can post some cool car pictures or inside the garage, people working, people might enjoy that kind of stuff, but Facebook is gonna be where it's at for you, right? Mm-hmm. So don't waste your time on the other platforms because that's just a time waster. So this is good for sustainable marketing, it's good for you. What all this unlocks is just when you do this, when you work, you're gonna be calmer, you're gonna have time for more creative ideas, and you're going to have more creative ideas, again, because you know that that's the time you're spending. You're setting that time aside, and that's what you're doing within that time. You're gonna resent social media and having to do this piece of the process a lot less. You're gonna create better consistency, and then you're gonna have room to focus on actual business growth because you aren't doing everything all at once. You're really focused on one thing. So I have for you guys a couple things. I'm just gonna pause. Please look at them. One, two, let's see what I have here.
This is like being in school.
Oh, you don't have to do this now. This is really a take home. What? What is it?
She doesn't know what that is.
How old do you think I am?
Too young for that.
I don't know what language you're speaking. Okay, so what I handed out here, number one, you'll see that I made a faux pas. So on the March calendar, it still says 2024 because I was updating something that I created before. And I should have known because when I was moving all of the first day of spring around, those actual dates are correct. But I was like, why isn't this matching with what? Yeah. I was like, why is daylight savings time on a Friday? That's weird. So don't look at that calendar. Look at these. So this one right here, the one that says March, is basically a fun content idea generator for you, okay? So you're gonna see a bunch of holidays. I didn't talk about this in here, but again, when you're trying to come up with things to add into your scheduling consistency, there's so many random holidays in the world. I think a new one's made up every single day, I feel like. Every time I look, there's something different. But like, for example, for the month, March is National Women's History Month. It's Social Workers Month. Irish American Heritage Month. So are there anything within that ties into you, your business, your organization that you can utilize to post on social media? Give you some ideas. There's week-long observances, right? So National Cheerleading Week. Don't know whose business that applies to, but maybe somebody's. Rotary Week is coming up, so we got 2 of y'all, well, 3 of you in here. So that's something you can look at that and figure out, okay, how can I use that to sit down and schedule some social media posts around those things. And then I put a bunch of just individual dates, right? So I know we're already at the, what's the date today? The 5th? 5th. So looking after that, we've got dentist days tomorrow, right? So if you don't have a post scheduled already, you might want to do it. We've got, let's see, Barbie Day, maybe that ties in. What else did I say? Day of Happiness, that ties into everybody's business and organization. So I wanted to give you guys all some ideas that you can look at. You can also just Google national holidays, and there is a whole website that you can pull up any day and see what that is, and then theme your posts around that. And then in the back, there's a little posting prompt area so that you guys can sit down and spend some time coming up with it. Now, I know most of us aren't going to sit down and do our social media on paper first and then translate it over to our computers. But this gives you a little bit of a layout that can hopefully help guide you in coming up with some marketing plans for your social media. And then the other one is focused on batch scheduling, right? So there's some questions to walk through, some of the things that we talked about. Talking about figuring out your consistency, right? Figuring out kind of what you want your voice to be, what you want your post to be focused on. Sitting down and looking at who your audience is. You know, I mentioned that, and that could be a whole talk another day. But really sitting down and digging into that. And please do not be afraid of getting really, really narrowed in on who your client is that you want to direct your marketing to. Then there's things, brand pillars. That's really the main key pieces, the values that you want to focus on and everything, right? So when you create a post, you might be looking and going, does this hit one of our 3 brand pillars? And you want those things to be consistent. And it gives you a little space to break those down. Once you have those pillars, some ideas there. It's kind of homework, so I'm sorry. But I feel like if you take time to sit down and do these things, it'll make your future posting a lot easier because you're going to be able to refer back. It's like when you first start a business and you create a business plan. If you didn't do that at the beginning of your business, you never have anything to go back off of and base your business decisions on, right? So it's tedious initially doing that work, sitting down, focusing, might be a little frustrating, might be a little hard to come up with those answers. But once you have that, it's going to be that much easier for you to just move smoothly ahead. And then there's just a little bit of space for you to brainstorm, create your posting schedule, and then post planners, and you can pull them out and make copies if you like the paper. I'm a big fan of paper. I have my paper calendar. I have Google also, but I like actually writing things out still. I think it sticks in my brain better. But just giving yourself that, you can totally set something up on Canva and do the same thing. When we do that, when we manage client social media, that's how we do it. We put in the social media image, the proposed verbiage, the hashtags, and kind of have a little chart that we lay that out on. But I like the paper better. So hopefully that'll help you guys just to be intentional with your scheduling, with your post creation and all of that. And really, I think if there's nothing else, just know that social media is supposed to support your business. It's not supposed to consume all your time. It's not supposed to consume your headspace and make you frustrated and angry. It really is a free marketing tool and a way to target your audience. So treat it as such. We don't sit there and spend every waking moment. If we sponsor the Batavia Youth Baseball team, wondering how our logo is going to get out there, we pay the money, we send it out to the world. Let social media become that for you too, and you can do that by creating boundaries and scheduling your time that you work on that. So, if anybody has any questions, I am here for questions. Otherwise, I'll let you guys go do some homework, or just go home.
On one of those slides, it said education, behind the scenes, client staff spotlight, the things you can post about. Right there, yeah.
Oh, that was it.
What's offer reminder?
So that would be either, if you have a special, like you can always put a special out there. I'm not a big discount fan for businesses, but you could also do just a service.
Okay.
You know, so a specific type of party, right? Because how many different types of parties do you host?
Spa, like
Just spa.
Spa.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Do they have different themes or anything like that?
No.
No.
I don't have enough room in my house for different themes, so.
That's
I would
fine.
need a storage unit.
Yeah, okay.
I do sometimes offer, if you book between this time and this time, free, complimentary selfie station. or
Okay,
something
yeah,
like that.
so
Okay.
things like that would be good to get in the rotation.
Okay.
You know, I think about like, so for my son's hockey club, the Cyclones, that would be where I'd say, we're not doing an offer necessarily, unless it's the early bird registration, but like spring registration is going on right now. So that's where I'd be going, okay, you know what? I need to make sure that this date and this date and this date in the month, I get out a reminder for spring registration.
Okay.
Right, because we're promoting something current, timely.
Okay.
So make sure that you've got that more than once. Just putting it out there once,
Sure.
people aren't gonna see it. I think Lisa mentioned it in one of them where, reusing content. And she showed how, we basically have gone back and taken some of our old posts that did well and scheduled those up for like the next year or whatever, just so there's always something in case we all of a sudden disappear and don't schedule anything. There still is stuff being scheduled because people don't see everything. So if I only posted the spring registration for Cyclones one time and we sent out one email, now people know it's hockey season and they're part of the club, so they're gonna sign up. But if you want more people, you'll see a boost when you post those out again. It's just like the the pot of gold calendar, right? That's what it's called. If they just posted it once and just let it be, people would have to remember, scroll back, go to the website, find the link,
Sure.
right? And instead, they did an adorable little video where they were all dressed like leprechauns, and that was fun. And then they've been doing posts when people win, and what does that do? That's reminding people, oh, I want to get in on this, right? So that's what I would say for that offer reminder. Again, it doesn't have to be a discount. It could just be what you're promoting during that season. If you've got an event coming up, if you've got an open house or something like that, putting it out there more than once. Yeah.
Is the Canva video
Mhm.
is that still
Mhm.
visible on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
What else?
Yes.
When you're in Meta Planner and you're scheduling your posts, and it'll say, it gives you an option to see when your followers are most active.
Mhm.
Is that for real? Because I feel like it's always, like Facebook always says 7 o'clock, every single time. no
7
matter
a.m.
what.
or 7 p.m.?
7 p.m.
Okay.
Every single time it ever changes.
So I'll say, because I manage multiple pages, it is different on different ones. So I do think they're basing it off of things that they see, but I don't know how much validity there is in it, because now 7 p.m. is not a bad time, because you figure people have finished dinner and it might be their scrolling time. You get on the couch and you're gonna watch that show, and instead you're like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Never happened.
No, you've never done that before, right? You totally know who shot that guy, right? You saw him. You're not like paused, wait, what just happened? Like I said, I'm like, if you were looking, you would have known what happened. Why do we have to watch it again? Not that I don't do it too, but you know, you get the picture. So 7 p.m. is not a bad time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you're gonna figure, especially I'd say for the, well, I don't know, because for the chamber, small business owners and business owners are on social media throughout the day, right? So I don't wanna say that they aren't looking. I think for businesses where I get nervous about posting late in the evening, like 5 p.m. and later, for businesses that are, you know, phones are answered from 8 until 4, because I don't want somebody seeing that post and be like, oh, I gotta call them right now, right? I'd rather it post at 8 a.m. and then they're reminded and then they make that call. But I think it kind of depends. If nothing else, go ahead and use that, because they are pulling that information from their world. But if you post outside that time, I think that's okay too. Yeah. Because everything in the feed just kind of, you know, how your feed works. You see stuff that was posted 12 hours ago, and then you see something that was posted 30 minutes ago. So it kind of throws it out there. But as we talked about, using your analytics and all of that background information is helpful. That's a good thing. Like in the social media batch schedule content planner, where you talk about your audience, you know, going to your analytics is a great place for you if you're having a hard time figuring out who your target audience is. Look and see who you're actually reaching with your current content. But do keep in mind that you could just be reaching you in your current content. Maybe you aren't your exact, you know, because you're creating it and you're creating what looks good to you. But your actual client is a 90-year-old man and you're not a 90-year-old man. So make sure you adjust that to who is actually going to spend dollars with you, right? Just like an example of that would be like, Alexis, right?
Benson.
Yeah, Benson. Her target is women recently divorced. She's been putting in there, right? And she's not, right? And I think it's a little bit older than what she is. So if she was always always designing things for her, that wouldn't be who her client is. She actually is looking for somebody a little bit older who's recently gone through a divorce and wants to take charge of their money. So that is going to be a different message than she's probably in her 30s maybe. We don't talk about people's ages here, but that's not who her target audience is, so if that makes sense. Make sure you really are looking at who's spending their dollars with you and who you're trying to target. Anything else? No? Margaret has some things to share about the chamber.
Unless there's any more questions, all questions are good questions, because this was supposed to be hands-on, so you walk away with your questions answered. Jamie, you did a wonderful job,
ma'am.
so thorough.
Thanks.
Jamie is easily accessible. I know she has her email up there, Start Something Studios on the east side of town, right by Berkeley. So contact Jamie is here if you have additional questions. What, Kate?
Not Berkeley anymore.
Oh, sorry, Cinco de Mayo. Right. Yeah, always a party there. Which tomorrow I think is Cinco de Marcho, according to your holiday.
Today.
Oh, today's Cinco de Marcho? So happy Cinco de Marcho.
Margaritas for everyone. Puppies, half price.
So again, thank you for attending this series. Thank you for putting it on for us, Jamie. We are targeting topics that we know are pertinent to running your organization. Our next series will start April 14th. Let me verify that, April 16th, sorry, it'll be here. It is gonna be a topic that we all need more information on. It changes all the time. It's on AI. We have a director from Wabanzi, who is an expert in all things AI, gonna specifically talk about how to use it to make your business thrive. So again, fool around with AI now, because it will be the next level, so that we just don't know how to, just enter a question with ChatGPT. He's gonna really tell you how to implement it to improve your productivity. So that'll be a great series. It's a 3-part series. You can register for it on our website. Of course, it's no charge for our members. There's a fee for non-members. They're welcome to join us, because we as a chamber really want to just spread out that education for what's needed. Jamie did mention our Pot of Gold raffle. I have flyers. There's flyers in the back. This is a great raffle that we're doing for the chamber, something fun for March. You buy a $10 raffle ticket, and you're entered into a daily drawing for cash prizes. So we're giving out 35 chances to win, because some days have more than one winner. It's between $10 and on March 17th, we're doing 2 drawings for $1,000. So yes, it's a win-win. The funds will support our high school scholarship program. So if that motivates you to help our kids, please do it. Also, we have a friendly competition going with our businesses in the area. Garage 31 is in first place, but you could select a team just to you could pop in or online, buy their raffle ticket and select a team, and they are in a friendly competition to get an increased membership level with the chamber. So we thank you for your support. Garage 31 was in our fun video. Look it up on Facebook. I'm going to be discovered. Yeah, Bridget. Yeah, she's got an agent now. Red Hike Market. Yes. So fun. All right. Well, like Jamie said, she gave you a couple of minutes back to your day. Oh, thanks, Jamie. We have a fun ribbon cutting today. I know you guys are all going to want to come. It's for Tesla. We've been waiting for this. It's on Randall Road. We're very happy they're investing in our town. Even if you have other feelings about their leader, we're happy that he's not going to be there. But it will. They are giving test drives. There will be food. It'll be a nice event. The ribbon cutting will be at 11:30. I think their open house begins at 11. So come join us. It'll be a great event today. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.